Alright, well, I wasn't feeling all that well yesterday, which has put a delay on these final awards. But for today, this is going to be the penultimate video of our Best of 2024 series. It's time for all the rogueliking and rogueliting that one can imagine. Rising year for roguelikes and roguelites. We had quite a lot of them. And like RPG, a very huge variety in terms of our selections. So the first one I want to go to is Oblivion Override, aka, I guess, Dead Cells Cyberpunk or Dead Cells Robot. In this one, we got a chance to see another in the kind of, again, Dead Cells or a high speed, build driven variety of weapons style of an action roguelite. I really like the variety of builds, and unlike Dead Cells, the game kind of falls a little bit closer to that of a deck builder or some of the more outlandish action roguelites. Almost like a Binding of Isaac in terms of how the different properties can synergize and lead to some crazy combinations. I found this one to be very enjoyable. We played almost all the way through all of its ascension, progression, the progressive difficulties, stuff like that. And if you are someone who is hankering for another Dead Cell style roguelite, then definitely give this one a try. I know quite a lot of you out there enjoy Spelunky, but did you know we had an almost first-person take on that with Phantom Abyss? This was in development for quite a long time. It was finally released at the very beginning of 2024. In it, you have kind of asynchronous multiplayer as you can track and compete with ghosts of former players to see how far you can get, and whoever finishes a level kind of locks that seed forever as the champion. A variety of traps, different styles of whips and play styles to go with them, as well as just the more like focus on platforming in first person. While it can be a little bit weird in spots, again, first person platforming is never as precise as 2D, still a very original take on the roguelike formula, and an easy one for the platformer fans in the audience. Oblivion Override was our Dead Cells inspired action roguelite, but what about one that feels more inspired by Smash Bros. In a way? Well, my next pick is Spiritfall. This one kind of, again, takes that same kind of concept of having your different abilities, you'll get different weapons, builds, and all that good stuff. But this is also thrown in with the kind of focus on similar mechanics of a Smash Bros., where you'll have your attacks, your light, medium, you have your charge smash move, and there's elite bosses or mini boss fights that basically turn to a Smash Bros. Contest. There is a pretty good variety of elements, and this one is full on roguelite, as you'll be finding a lot of permanent upgrades. Once you beat the game for the first time, you'll unlock, again, Ascension mode, progressive difficulty, different kinds of masks you can level up that become kind of your builds. Very enjoyable game. Again, for the very action-heavy fans in the audience, this is an easy recommendation. Our next game is technically a double cheat because it came out earlier in mobile, and it could have fallen into the deck builder category, but who really makes the rules around here anyway? And the pick goes to Slice and Dice, an incredibly well-designed turn-based roguelike, where your party must let their dice do the talking, as you'll be able to modify different faces, upgrade your classes to introduce new rules, new elements, of course, collect lots and lots of gear, and figure out the best ways to completely and utterly break the game before it completely and utterly breaks you. Lots and lots of hours of good old tactical roguelike or RPG goodness. Again, so much in terms of different ways of playing it, and easily a game that will consume your time if you're still ignoring or you're able to get off the Balatro addiction that is going around. Very well made game and an incredibly easy recommendation from me for everyone to check out. Our next two examples both take the roguelike side in a very different direction. First, we are going with Pool, with Rack and Slay, a pool-based roguelike, where you must hit shots, make sure you don't drain the cue ball, and deal with the myriad of enemies. A very different take, as you can probably guess, on roguelike design, while still kind of capturing some of the basic elements of having the different builds, you have different difficulty settings, and trying to figure out how best you want to build your pool playing abilities. So if you're looking for a very differently themed roguelike, then definitely check this one out. Considering how popular Peggle was, it was only a matter of time before other developers would take note and make very similar or very different takes on that design. And our next pick is Peglin, another early access game that saw its release in 2024. In this one, you'll be having to launch balls to clear up the field in order to then do damage to the enemy. Different items will manipulate the ball, the field, different power-ups and other things that can show up. And while you are at the mercy of physics and chaos, there's still a lot that you can manipulate with how you're launching your ball, which ones you'll pick up, and the artifacts do a great job of changing your basic play as you go through it. Very entertaining game, and I'm glad that they got it through to the finish line. So if you are a fan of Peggle and looking for a little bit more peggling to do in your spare time, then give this one a play. Our next game comes from apparently the creator of Jetpack Joyride, as well as Fruit Ninja, that is Luke Muscat. And our pick is Feed the Deep. It's described as kind of a game inspired by Dome Keeper. You are diving under the sea in order to, well, feed the deep. And each kind of mission will grow with more constraints, elements to deal with, and going deeper and deeper down. This is not meant to be a super long-term roguelike by any means, but I do like the kind of elements and the almost similar loop of Core Keeper, of go down, collect resources, come back up, try not to run out of air along the way, and see if you can push further and further in. It's a little bit janky in a few spots, I would say, especially when it comes to lighting. If you're not a fan of games where you have to fumble around in the dark, do not play this one, as you'll be doing quite a lot of fumbling, sometimes upside down. A very great idea, and I think there's certainly room here to explore with a larger concept, or with expanding on the kind of the elements of Feed the Deep. So if you're a fan of a roguelike, you are not afraid of the dark, enclosed spaces, or being underwater, and looking for a very entertaining one for a weekend or two, then you should definitely play this one. There have been a lot of FPS roguelikes and roguelites released over the years, and we played quite a few of them that were in early access in 2024. But one did cross the finish line and was released almost at the end of the year, and my final pick for favorite roguelikes go to Battle Shapers, a kind of mix of almost like a RoboQuest or Gunfire Reborn with the aesthetic and like chiptune tone of a Mega Man game. This one does take a little bit more getting into it before it starts to get, I would say, interesting to play. You do need to finish at least one time in order to unlock, again, the progressive difficulty, and start unlocking the different builds, different means of upgrading, and of course the numerous permanent upgrades and meta progression. But once you start getting into things, and being able to mess with the weapons and have more variety, the game does open up quite nicely. While I don't think it reaches the same height of RoboQuest from last year, this one is another very entertaining take on the formula. So if you are quested out or tired of gunfiring, then give this one a try, and it may be another solid entry for you to enjoy while we wait for whatever else comes next, because I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot more FPS roguelikes in 2025. And our penultimate video comes to an end. So for either Saturday or Monday, I'll be doing the Best in Show, where I'll be revealing what are my absolute favorite games of the year, where I'm sure there'll be no arguments or controversies to go with them. Or some of your favorite roguelikes, roguelites, or anything else in between of this combination. Let me know down in the comments. Have a great rest of the day, enjoy the weekend, and we are almost done with 2024. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.